Dr. Ji-won Kim stared at the equations covering every wall of her laboratory. For 3 years, she had been working on the impossible, a way to travel faster than light. Most scientists said it could not be done. The laws of physics were clear. Nothing could move faster than light speed. But Ji-won had a different idea. Instead of trying to go faster than light, she wanted to tear a hole through space itself. She called it the Void Ripper Drive. "Are you sure about this?" asked Minho Park, her chief engineer. He looked worried as he checked the safety systems, for the 100th time. "The energy readings are off the charts. One mistake and we could blow up half of Seoul." Ji-won nodded confidently. "The math is perfect, Minho. We're not breaking the laws of physics. We're finding a way around them." Yuna Lee, the team's mathematician, looked up from her computer. "The calculations check out, but I'm seeing some strange secondary effects. When we tear the hole in space, it leaves behind energy patterns I don't understand. Every breakthrough has unexpected results," Ji-won replied. "We'll study the side effects later. Right now, we need to focus on making this work." The Seoul Institute for Advanced Space Research had given Ji-won's team unlimited funding after seeing her early test results. The government wanted faster than light travel badly. Other nations were already exploring the outer planets. Korea needed an advantage. The test ship sat in the underground facility, gleaming under the bright lights. It was small, only big enough for one pilot, but it contained technology that could change everything. At its heart was the Void Ripper Drive, a device that could literally tear holes in the fabric of space-time. Dae-ho Choi, the test pilot, checked his equipment one final time. He was nervous but excited. If this worked, he would be the first. "Human to travel faster than light. All systems are green," he reported over the radio. "Drive core is stable. Navigation computer is locked onto Proxima Centauri." Ji-won took a deep breath. Proxima Centauri was the closest star to Earth besides the Sun. The journey normally took light itself over 4 years. If her drive worked, Dae-ho could make the trip in just 6 hours. "Beginning countdown," announced Minho from the control room. 10, 9, 8. The Void Ripper Drive hummed to life, filling the facility with a sound like reality itself was groaning. Energy readings spiked beyond anything they had ever seen. 7, 6, 5. Warning lights flashed as the drive built up power. The air around the test ship began to shimmer and bend. 4, 3, 2. Space-time itself began to warp around the ship. Through the observation windows, the stars outside looked strange and twisted. 1. Activate. Reality tore open, like paper. For a moment, the ship seemed to exist in 2 places at once. Then, with a sound like thunder, it vanished completely. The silence that followed was deafening. Every instrument in the facility was going crazy. Energy readings showed massive distortions spreading out from where the ship had been. "Did it work?" whispered Yuna. "I don't know," Ji-won admitted. "We'll have to wait for Dae-ho to report in." 6 hours later, exactly on schedule, space tore open again. The test ship reappeared in a flash of brilliant light, its hull glowing from the energy of the journey. "Control, this is Dae-ho," came the pilot's excited voice. "Mission successful. I reached Proxima Centauri in 6 hours and 14 minutes. The drive worked perfectly." The control room erupted in cheers. They had done it. Humanity had conquered faster than light travel. But as the celebration continued, Yuna noticed something troubling on her instruments. "Ji-won, look at these readings. The void tear isn't closing properly. Where the ship had appeared and disappeared, space-time showed signs of damage. It was like a scar in reality itself, slowly healing but leaving permanent marks." "The energy patterns are spreading," Minho observed. "Whatever we did, it's having effects far beyond our local area." Ji-won studied the data, but she was too excited by their success to worry about minor side effects. "We'll study the scars later. Right now, we need to contact the government. They'll want to know about this immediately." Within hours, news of The breakthrough spread around the world. Humanity had achieved faster-than-light travel. The stars were no longer out of reach. President Neon Park called Ji-won personally to congratulate her. "Doctor, you've just changed the course of human history. How quickly can we build more of these drives?" "With proper funding and resources, we could have a fleet ready in 6 months," Ji-won replied. "You'll have whatever you need. This technology could give us the greatest advantage in human history." As governments around the world began planning their expansion into space, none of them noticed the strange energy signals spreading out from Earth's solar system. The void scars left by Ji-won's drive were sending ripples through dimensions that humans didn't even know existed. Far across the galaxy, ancient sensors detected the disturbances. Civilizations that had spent millions of years developing safe space travel suddenly felt reality itself shiver. The readings were impossible. Someone was tearing holes in space-time itself. On the council world of Zenthari, emergency alarms began to sound. The impossible had happened. Someone had built the forbidden technology that could destroy the universe. But on Earth, Ji-won and her team worked day and night to build more void drives. The government wanted ships that could reach any planet in hours instead of years. The military wanted weapons that could appear anywhere in space without warning. "Doctor, the void scars from our tests are growing larger," Yuna reported during one late-night work session. "Each time we activate a drive, the damage to space-time gets worse." "How much worse?" Ji-won asked, not looking up from her blueprints. "The scars are connecting to each other. It's like we're creating a network of tiers in reality." Ji-won finally looked at the data. The patterns were indeed concerning, but the pressure from the government was enormous. They wanted the technology deployed as quickly as possible. "We'll add safeguards to the next generation of drives," she decided. "But we can't stop now. Humanity needs this technology." As the first production models of the Void Ripper drive came online, the energy disturbances grew stronger. Reality itself was being damaged by humanity's breakthrough, but no one on Earth understood the true cost of their achievement. In the darkness between dimensions, something ancient and hungry began to stir. The void scars were like wounds in the universe, and through those wounds, things that should never exist in normal space began to take notice of the galaxy full of life and energy. Humanity had achieved their greatest technological triumph. But they had also awakened something that had been sleeping in the darkness for millions of years. The Void Ripper drive worked perfectly, but each time it was used, it brought them closer to a horror beyond imagination. High Counselor Vexathari felt the tremor before the alarms even sounded. She was reviewing trade reports in her office when reality itself seemed to shiver around her. The walls of the council tower flickered for just a moment, like a bad video connection. Then the emergency sirens began their awful wailing. Her assistant rushed in, his forearms shaking as he handed her the urgent reports. "High Counselor, we have multiple dimensional alerts across 50 light-years of space. Something has torn through the fabric of space-time itself." Vexathari's blood went cold. In all her 300 years of service, she had never seen readings like these. The reports came flooding in from every corner of council space. The Etherean seers were screaming about wounds in the cosmos. The Chronari Time Watchers reported seeing causality loops forming in empty space. Most disturbing of all, the Silithian hive mind had gone completely silent after reporting massive psychic trauma. She called an emergency session immediately. Within hours, representatives from dozens of worlds filled the great chamber. Dr. Zenth Mora, the council's top scientist, stood at the center with his equipment scanning the air around him. "What we are seeing is impossible," Dr. Mora announced to the worried crowd. "Someone has created a faster-than-light drive that literally rips holes in space-time. The energy readings are off our charts." A Chronari delegate raised her crystalline hand. "Our temporal sensors detected the event. It lasted only moments, but the aftershocks are still spreading. Time itself is becoming unstable in the affected regions." The Etherian ambassador spoke next, his voice filled with fear. Our seers felt the universe scream. Whatever did this has awakened something that should never be disturbed. The barriers between dimensions are weakening. Vexathari studied the data on her screen. The readings showed a clear path of destruction through space-time, starting from a small yellow star system at the edge of known space. Dr. Mora, where did this originate? The scientist checked his instruments. A system the locals call Sol. It's inhabited by a species that calls themselves humans. They've never made contact with us before. A shocked silence filled the chamber. An unknown species had just created the most dangerous technology in galactic history. Dr. Mora continued his analysis, his face growing paler by the minute. Counselors, I must share something terrible. These readings match theoretical models we hoped never to see. The drive these humans created doesn't just bend space-time like our safe drives do. It actually tears holes in reality itself. He activated a holographic display showing the structure of space-time. For millions of years, our ancestors developed dimensional folding technology specifically to avoid this. They knew that tearing space-time would weaken the barriers that keep the hungry dark contained. The mention of the hungry dark made everyone in the chamber tense. It was the stuff of ancient nightmares, the primordial void that had consumed entire galaxies before the first civilizations learned to travel safely between stars. An elder Silithian finally spoke, her mental voice reaching every mind in the room. The hive mind felt it stirring. Something vast and hungry noticed the tear in reality. It is beginning to wake up. Vexathari felt the weight of billions of lives on her shoulders. Dr. Mora, how long do we have? The scientist ran more calculations. If they use this drive again, the tears will grow larger. Each use makes it worse. Based on these readings, if they continue using it regularly, we have perhaps a year before the barriers fail completely. Emergency Counselor Thane Corvus stood up, his armored form imposing. Then we stop them. We go to this Earth and shut down their research immediately. And if they refuse? Asked a delegate. Thane's response was cold and clear. Then we destroy their capability by force. The survival of the entire galaxy is at stake. Vexathari knew he was right, but the thought of attacking an unknown species sickened her. The Council had always preferred diplomacy to war. But this was different. This was about preventing the end of everything. Dr. Mora, is there any way to seal the tears they've already made? The scientist shook his head sadly. Not with our current technology. The damage is spreading slowly but steadily. Only by stopping all further use of their drive can we prevent total collapse. The debate continued for hours. Some delegates wanted to try peaceful contact first. Others demanded immediate military action. But as more reports came in showing the tears getting worse, the choice became clear. I'm ordering a fleet to the Sol system, Vexathari announced. We'll try diplomacy first, but we're prepared to use force if necessary. The humans must be made to understand what they've done. Admiral Crestha volunteered to lead the mission. She was known for her skill in both combat and negotiation. High Counselor, what are our rules of engagement? Secure or destroy all research related to their FTL drive. Capture their scientists if possible. If they resist, Vexathari paused, knowing she was about to order potential genocide. Do whatever is necessary to protect the galaxy. As the Yide fleet prepared to leave, Dr. Mora made one final discovery that chilled everyone to their core. Counselors, I've detected residual energy signatures suggesting the humans are already building more of these drives. They have no idea what they're playing with. The fleet of 50 ships departed for Earth within the day. As they traveled through the safe dimensional folds, everyone aboard knew they might be sailing toward the most important battle in galactic history. They had to stop humanity from destroying reality itself, even if it meant destroying humanity in the process. Behind them, the tears in space-time continued to grow, and something ancient and hungry began to stir in the darkness between worlds. Ambassador Hana Shin stood on the observation deck of Earth's orbital station, watching the stars with excitement. Today would change everything for humanity. First contact with an alien civilization was finally happening. The 50 ships that appeared at the edge of the solar system were unlike anything humans had ever imagined. They seemed to bend light around them, creating beautiful patterns in space. Hana had spent months preparing for this moment, learning basic galactic languages and studying diplomatic protocols. Ambassador, they're requesting permission to approach Earth, reported Communications Officer Kyung Park. Grant it, Hana replied, and send our prepared first contact message. Let them know we come in peace. But something felt wrong. The alien ships moved in military formation, not like peaceful explorers. Captain Ji-hoon Kang, commander of the station's defense forces, noticed it too. Ma'am, those ships are armed. Heavy weapons. This doesn't look like a friendly visit. Hana frowned. She had expected alien technology to be advanced, but these ships looked like they were ready for war. Still, she maintained hope. Maybe they're just being careful. We're an unknown species to them. The alien fleet stopped just outside Earth's orbit. A communication came through, translated by their computers into perfect Korean. The voice was cold and formal. Humans of Earth, I am High Admiral Krestha of the Galactic Council. We must speak immediately about your faster-than-light technology. Hana smiled and activated the communication system. Admiral Krestha, I am Ambassador Hana Shin. We welcome you to our solar system. We're honored to make contact with your civilization. This is not a social visit, the Admiral replied sharply. Your FTL drive is extremely dangerous. You must stop using it immediately and surrender all research to us. The smile faded from Hana's face. I'm sorry, Admiral, but I don't understand. Our drive is a great achievement. We'd be happy to share the technology with peaceful intentions. You don't understand what you've done, Admiral Krestha said, her voice filled with urgency. Your drive tears holes in reality itself. Every time you use it, you risk destroying the entire galaxy. Captain Kang stepped forward. Ambassador, they're demanding we give up our greatest technological advancement without proof of these claims. Hana tried to keep the conversation peaceful. Admiral, we appreciate your concerns, but surely we can discuss this. Perhaps your scientists could work with ours to make the technology safer. There is no making it safer, came the harsh reply. The drive must be destroyed, and your scientists must come with us for questioning. This is not a request. The tension on the station immediately rose. Every human present understood what was happening. These aliens were making demands backed by military force. Admiral, Hana said carefully, Earth cannot agree to surrender our technology or our people without understanding the full situation. We need proof of these claims about danger. You will have proof when your universe begins to collapse, Admiral Krestha responded. We are prepared to take this technology by force if necessary. Captain Kang had heard enough. He activated the station's defense systems and sent an alert to Earth's military. Admiral, any attempt to seize human technology or personnel will be considered an act of war. The alien fleet immediately moved into attack formation. Hana watched in horror as her first contact mission became a military crisis. Please, both of you, she tried to intervene. Let's talk about this. There must be a peaceful solution. But it was too late. Admiral Krestha gave the order to board the research station where Dr. Ji-won Kim was working. A squad of alien soldiers materialized directly inside the station using some kind of teleportation technology. The battle was brief but decisive. Human security forces were outgunned and outnumbered. But then something unexpected happened. Pilot Salmon Yu, flying a prototype fighter equipped with a micro-void drive, appeared inside the alien fleet's defensive formation. Her small ship materialized directly behind the flagship's shields. Before the aliens could react, she fired a full spread of missiles at point-blank range. The massive alien ship's shields flickered and failed. How is that possible? Admiral Cresta demanded over the communication channel. Captain Kang smiled grimly. Our void drives work in ways you clearly don't understand, Admiral. More human fighters appeared throughout the alien formation. They jumped through space-time itself, striking from impossible angles. The aliens found themselves fighting an enemy that could appear anywhere without warning. Dr. Ji-won Kim, watching the battle from her laboratory, finally understood why the aliens were so afraid. Each time the human ships used their void drives, she detected massive energy spikes in local space-time. Something was definitely wrong with their technology. The alien fleet, facing tactics they had never encountered, decided to retreat. But Admiral Cresta's final transmission was filled with dire warning. Humans, you have made a terrible mistake. Your technology is awakening things that should never be disturbed. Continue using these drives, and you will doom not just yourselves, but every living thing in the galaxy. The fleet disappeared into their dimensional folds, leaving Earth's defenders victorious but confused. Ambassador Hana Shin sat in her office afterward, reviewing what had gone wrong. First Contact had become humanity's first interstellar war, and she didn't even understand why. Captain Kang joined her, still excited from the battle. Ambassador, did you see what our drives can do in combat? We can appear anywhere, strike without warning. No fleet in the galaxy could stand against us. But Hana was troubled. Captain, what if they're right? What if our technology really is dangerous? Dangerous to them, maybe, Kang replied. They saw our capability and got scared. They know they can't control us. Dr. Kim arrived with her analysis of the battle's energy readings. Ambassador, I've detected some unusual patterns. Each time we used the void drives, there were secondary effects I don't understand. Space-time seems to be damaged somehow. Hana looked at the data, trying to understand what it meant. Doctor, is it possible the aliens were telling the truth about the danger? I don't know, Dr. Kim admitted, but I think we need to study this more carefully. Meanwhile, on Earth, military leaders were already planning to mass-produce the void drive technology. The tactical advantage was too great to ignore. They had just defeated an alien fleet using ships that could appear anywhere instantly. But in the darkness between stars, something ancient stirred. The void scars left by the human drives were growing slowly larger, and through the cracks in reality, hungry eyes began to watch the galaxy with interest. Admiral Tae-Wen-jung stood in the war room, surrounded by holographic displays showing humanity's rapid expansion across the galaxy. In just 6 months since the alien encounter, Earth had established 12 new colonies using void drive technology. What used to take years now took hours. Admiral, the new Busan colony reports successful establishment, announced his aide. They've begun mining operations on 3 different asteroids. Tae-Wen smiled with satisfaction. The aliens had tried to scare humanity with their warnings about dangerous technology, but all he saw was the greatest military advantage in galactic history. No enemy could hide from ships that could appear anywhere instantly. Dr. Bora Han, the lead scientist working on weaponized void drive applications, approached with her latest report. Admiral, we've successfully tested the new void torpedoes. They can materialize inside enemy ships and detonate from within. No shield technology can stop them. Excellent, Tae-Wen replied. How many can we produce? The factories are working around the clock. We'll have enough to outfit the entire fleet within 2 months. But Dr. Ji-won Kim, the original inventor of the void drive, was not celebrating. She worked frantically in her laboratory, studying the energy readings from each void drive activation. What she discovered made her stomach turn with fear. Each time humanity used the void drive, it left scars in space-time itself. These scars were growing larger and connecting with each other. Worse, they seem to be letting something through, from somewhere else. "The readings are getting worse," she told her assistant, Dr. Sunho Lim. "Each jump tears the fabric of reality a little more. And look at this data from the edge colonies." Dr. Lim studied the readings and went pale. "Ji-Wan, these energy signatures don't match anything in known physics. It's like something is pushing through from another dimension." Their fears were confirmed when the first reports came in from the outer colonies. Strange shadows had been seen moving between buildings where no shadows should exist. Equipment malfunctioned in ways that made no sense. Some colonists reported seeing things that weren't there, glimpses of vast, hungry shapes in empty space. But the military leadership ignored these reports. Admiral Taewon was too focused on humanity's new power to listen to scientists' warnings. Then, New Busan went silent. Commander Yujin Ro had been proud to lead the garrison protecting humanity's newest colony. New Busan was a beautiful world with clear skies and rich mineral deposits. The 3,000 colonists had built a thriving community in just 2 months. The first sign of trouble came at dawn. Yujin was reviewing patrol reports when Sergeant Minho Park burst into her office. "Commander, we have a problem. The Eastern Mining Station isn't responding to communications." Yujin frowned. "Equipment failure?" "We thought so too, but when we sent a team to check, they found something impossible. The entire mining complex is just gone." "Gone? What do you mean, gone?" Minho showed her the satellite images. Where the mining station should have been, there was nothing but empty ground, not destroyed, not damaged. Simply absent, as if it had never existed. "Send a full investigation team," Yujin ordered, "and keep me informed of any developments." But by noon, more reports were coming in. The investigation team had vanished too. Then the southern processing plant disappeared. Then a section of the main city itself. Yujin activated the colony's defense systems and called for immediate evacuation. But as she spoke to Earth Command, she watched through her window as sections of buildings simply faded away, taking people with them. "This is New Busan requesting emergency evacuation," she transmitted. "We're under attack by unknown forces. People and structures are disappearing." The response from Earth was skeptical. "Commander, please clarify the nature of the attack. Are you under alien assault?" "Negative," Yujin replied, watching as a transport ship vanished mid-flight. "The attackers aren't visible. They seem to exist partially outside normal space. Our weapons pass right through them." Through the colony's sensors, Yujin could detect massive energy signatures that matched Dr. Kim's void drive readings. Something was using the scars in space-time to enter their reality. The creatures, if they could be called that, were barely visible to human eyes. They appeared as shifting shadows that moved independently of any light source. When they touched matter, it simply ceased to exist, not destroyed, but completely removed from reality. "All units fall back to the central complex," Yujin ordered. "Civilian evacuation is the priority." But the evacuation ships kept disappearing as they tried to use void drives to escape. Each void jump seemed to attract more of the shadow creatures. Dr. Kim, monitoring the crisis from Earth, finally understood the horrible truth. "The void drives are creating doorways," she told Admiral Taewon over the emergency communication. "Each time we use them, we're letting these things into our reality." "Then how do we fight them?" the Admiral demanded. "We can't," Dr. Kim replied. "They exist in the spaces between dimensions. Our weapons and shields can't touch them because they're not fully in our reality." Commander Yujin made her final transmission as the shadows closed in on the central complex. "This is Commander Yujin Ro of New Busan Colony. The evacuation has failed. The shadow creatures have consumed 70% of the colony. I'm ordering the remaining void ships to stop using their drives. Each jump makes it worse." Her transmission cut off as the communication center faded into nothingness. Within hours, All 3,000 colonists of New Busan were gone. The planet remained, but every sign of human presence had been erased. Satellite images showed empty foundations where buildings had stood, as if humanity had never been there at all. Dr. Kim worked desperately to understand what they were facing. Her analysis of the void scars showed they were growing exponentially. Each time humanity used a void drive anywhere in the galaxy, it fed energy into a network of dimensional tiers. "We have to stop using the drives immediately," she told the emergency council. "Every jump makes the scars bigger and lets more creatures through." But Admiral Taewon was reluctant to give up humanity's greatest advantage. "Doctor, without the void drives, we're helpless against alien attack. We need time to develop conventional defenses." "Admiral, if we don't stop now, there won't be anything left to defend," Dr. Kim pleaded. The argument became academic when reports started coming in from other colonies. Strange shadows were appearing throughout human space. Equipment was vanishing. People were disappearing. Dr. Sunho Lim made a terrifying discovery while analyzing the pattern of disappearances. "Jawan, the void scars aren't random. They're forming a network connecting to each other, and something vast is moving through that network toward our core systems." The sensors detected it first, an energy signature so massive it defied comprehension, moving through the void scar network toward Earth itself. Whatever the shadow creatures were, they were just the beginning. Something much larger and hungrier was awakening in the darkness between realities. As reports of vanishing colonies flooded in, humanity finally began to understand the terrible price of their miraculous technology. They had torn holes in the fabric of existence itself, and now something ancient and endlessly hungry was coming through to feed on their reality. President Neon Park stood in the emergency bunker beneath Seoul, watching as star systems disappeared from the galactic map one by one. In 3 weeks, humanity had lost 8 colonies to the shadow creatures from the void. Each day brought reports of more disappearances, more reality being consumed by the hungry darkness. "Madam President, we're receiving another transmission from the Galactic Council," announced her aide. Neon nodded grimly. She knew what they wanted to say. The Council had tried to warn humanity, and now their worst fears were coming true. The void drive technology was unraveling the fabric of space-time itself. High Admiral Crestha appeared on the communication screen, her alien features showing exhaustion and fear. "President Park, our scientists confirm what your Dr. Kim suspected. The hungry dark is fully awakened now. It's using your void scars as doorways into our reality." "How long do we have?" Neon asked. "Days, perhaps hours. The largest void scar is growing exponentially. When it reaches critical size, the barrier between dimensions will collapse completely. Everything in this galaxy will be consumed." Dr. Jiwon Kim stood nearby, her face hollow from weeks of sleepless work. "President, I've been working with the Council's scientists. We think we found a way to stop it, but—" She paused, unable to finish. "But what, Doctor?" "The plan requires someone to fly directly into the heart of the largest void scar. They would need to create a controlled implosion using a specially modified void drive. The explosion would collapse all the rifts simultaneously." Admiral Crestha's voice was heavy with sorrow. "It would be a suicide mission. The pilot would be torn apart at the subatomic level." Captain Min-jae Seo, who had been listening quietly, stepped forward. "I'll do it." Everyone turned to look at the young pilot. Min-jae had flown void drive missions since the beginning and had lost friends on every colony that disappeared. "Captain, you understand what this means?" President Park asked. "Yes, ma'am, but I also understand what happens if we don't try. Everyone dies anyway. At least this way we have a chance to save something." Dr. Kim placed a hand on Min-jae's shoulder. "Captain, I need to go with you. The void drive modifications are too complex for remote operation. Someone needs to be there to make real-time adjustments." "And I'm coming too," added Lieutenant Hayok Bayek, Minjae's longtime wingman. "No pilot flies alone into hell." President, Park felt the weight of condemning 3 brave souls to certain death. But the alternative was the destruction of all life in the galaxy. "Very well. Dr. Kim, how long do you need to prepare?" "The ship is already ready. We've been working around the clock with the Council's best engineers." "But President, there's something else you need to know." Dr. Kim activated a holographic display showing the structure of the void scars. "When we enter the largest rift, we'll be traveling into a realm that exists outside normal space-time. We might discover things about the nature of reality itself." Dr. Vashmi, the Council's leading physicist, who had joined them via communication link, spoke up. "Dr. Kim is correct. The Hungry Dark isn't just a destructive force. It's a fundamental aspect of the universe, the space between realities. Our ancestors learned to work around it, but you humans have awakened its attention." The final preparations took only hours. The modified ship looked like a normal void drive vessel, but its interior was filled with exotic equipment that hurt to look at directly. Captain Minjae performed the pre-flight checks with steady hands, even though everyone knew this would be a one-way trip. "All systems green. Void drive modifications online." Dr. Kim strapped herself into the science station, surrounded by instruments that could measure the impossible. "President, we're detecting massive movement in the Void Scar network. Something truly enormous is approaching our reality." Lieutenant Hayok took his position at the weapons station, though conventional weapons would be useless where they were going. "At least if we meet this thing face to face, we can tell it what we think of it." The ship launched from Earth's moon, heading toward the coordinates where the largest void scar was growing. As they approached, reality itself began to behave strangely. Light bent in impossible directions. Time moved in stutters and loops. "Beginning approach to the rift," Minjae announced calmly. Through the view screen they could see it, a tear in space-time so massive it defied comprehension. It looked like a wound in the universe itself, bleeding darkness into normal space. Shadow creatures poured through in endless streams, consuming matter and energy as they spread across the galaxy. "I'm detecting the source," Dr. Kim reported, her voice filled with awe and terror. "There's something massive on the other side. It's not malevolent. It's just incredibly, endlessly hungry." As they entered the rift, the ship was immediately surrounded by absolute darkness that somehow had substance. This wasn't the absence of light. This was the presence of something that existed before light was ever created. Minjae fought to control the ship as spatial directions lost all meaning. "Navigation is impossible in here. Up and down don't exist. I'm flying by instinct." Through her instruments, Dr. Kim could sense the presence of the Hungry Dark. It was vast beyond imagination, older than galaxies, and constantly consuming reality itself to sustain its existence. "I understand now," she whispered. "It's not evil. It's just what exists in the spaces between universes. When we tore holes in space-time, we gave it access to our reality for the first time in eons. The entity seemed to notice their presence. Suddenly, the darkness around them took on a form of sorts, not visual but conceptual. They could sense its attention focusing on them like a searchlight. "It's trying to communicate," Dr. Kim reported, in amazement. "It doesn't understand why its food source is fighting back." Through her equipment, she managed to establish a form of contact. The conversation, if it could be called that, took place on a level beyond words or thoughts. The Hungry Dark was confused. In its experience, realities were passive things to be consumed. The idea that the inhabitants of a universe might resist or try to communicate was entirely new to it. Dr. Kim realized this was their chance. "Captain, I need to try something. The void drive modifications aren't just for creating an explosion. I think I can reverse the process. Turn the reality-tearing power inward to create a healing effect." "Do it," Minjae said simply. Dr. Kim began the most complex scientific procedure ever attempted. Instead of tearing space-time apart, she used the void drive to weave it back together. The ship became a needle, stitching the wounds in reality closed from the inside. The hungry dark, suddenly cut off from its food source, paused in confusion. For the first time in its existence, something was healing the damage it had caused. "It's working," Lieutenant Hayek reported. "The rift is closing around us." As space-time healed itself, the three humans found themselves briefly existing in a space between realities. They could see the entire galaxy laid out like a map, with all the void scars glowing like infected wounds. "Beginning final sequence," Dr. Kim announced. "This is going to collapse every void scar simultaneously." The ship's void drive, pushed beyond all safe limits, created an implosion that rippled across multiple dimensions. Every tier in space-time, from the smallest to the largest, was pulled closed in an instant. The last thing Captain Minjae saw was a flash of understanding from the hungry dark. It wasn't angry about being cut off from their reality. It was impressed that such small creatures had found a way to heal the damage they had caused. The explosion, when it came, was visible from every inhabited world in the galaxy. For a moment, space-time itself glowed as the wounds in reality sealed themselves permanently. On Earth, President Park received confirmation from the Council fleet. "All void scars have collapsed. The rifts are sealed. The shadow creatures are disappearing back into their own dimension." The cost was terrible. Every human colony was stranded without FTL travel. The void drive technology was lost forever, its secrets dying with Dr. Kim. But the galaxy was safe. 6 months later, Dr. Ji-won Kim received the Council's highest scientific honor posthumously. Her sacrifice, along with Captain Seo and Lieutenant Bayek, had saved countless billions of lives. Humanity was welcomed into the Galactic Council not as conquerors, but as the species brave enough to give up their greatest weapon to protect others. They would have to learn the Council's safer FTL technology from scratch, but they had earned something far more valuable, the respect and trust of every civilization in the galaxy. The universe was safe once again, and the hungry dark returned to its eternal slumber in the spaces between realities where it belonged.